West Texas, 1897. The first thing she felt was the shock of well water, icy against split lips. Her fingers clawed the splintered rim of the horse trough, nails cracking. Blood crusted her collarbone. Her calico skirt hung in ribbons. Flies droned like a funeral hymn. Silas Kane, 54, sun-baked and silent, stood over her with a tin dipper. Not kin, not claim. Just a man who'd found her at dawn tangled in barbed wire, pulse fluttering like a trapped moth. Town was 10 miles east, a place called Dry Wells where questions died quick. Hold still, he muttered, pouring water down her back. The red swirled, thinned, vanished. Her breath hitched. She gripped the wood until knuckles blanched. Somewhere inside her chest, something snarled live. Silas glanced toward the road. Boot prints already baked into the dust. He knew the brand of men who left women for coyotes. But the men weren't done, and the next time they came, they'd bring fire. Inside the one-room shack, cedar smoke curled with the smell of lye soap. Silas laid her on a cornshuck mattress near the window. Moonlight striped her bruises purple. 3 times daily he changed bandages, spooned broth, spoke only when spoken to. On the 5th night, the fever cracked. She opened eyes the color of creek moss after rain. "You got a name?" he asked. "Call me Ruth," she whispered, voice raw as mesquite. Outside, wind rattled the tin roof like bones in a box. Ruth's gaze flicked to the door. "They'll ride when the moon's fat." Silas loaded a Henry rifle by lamplight. "Then we'll be ready." But readiness costs, and the price was about to be paid in blood and barnwood. Silas rode into town at high noon, dust devils spinning behind him. Men on the saloon porch chewed cigars and stared. Sheriff Holt leaned against a hitching post, badge dull as guilt. "Heard you're keeping Harlan Voss's property." "She ain't a branded heifer," Silas said. Harlan Voss himself stepped out, gold tooth glinting. "Girl cost me $200 in Abilene. Interest's due." Silas didn't blink. "Come collect at your peril." Behind him, the street held its breath. A tumbleweed rolled between them like a referee. That night, 3 riders left Dry Wells with torches and a promise. The moon was a silver coin when hooves thudded soft across the corral. Silas waited in the loft. Jake, his half-deaf wrangler, crouched in the hay with a scattergun. First torch arced. Flame licked dry straw. Horses screamed. Silas fired once. High. Warning. Jake's buckshot answered low. Final. One rider folded like wet paper. The others fled, dragging their dead. Ruth stood on the porch in Silas's coat, clutching a skinning knife. Dawn found the barn a skeleton of embers. Sheriff Holt arrived at sunup, hat in hand. "Accidental blaze, right?" Silas spat blood. "Reckon so." Accidents have witnesses, and one of them was about to talk. They rode west before the ashes cooled, Ruth clinging to Silas's bedroll. Red Rock Canyon opened like a cathedral of stone. A spring trickled between cottonwoods. Silas built a brush lean-to. 3 times a day became ritual. Dawn coffee, noon jerky by the water, dusk stories traded like currency. One star-drunk night, Ruth asked, "Why risk your spread for a stranger?" Silas poked the fire. "Because the land don't keep score. Only people do." Years later, travelers spoke of a hidden ranch where no woman was turned away, where coffee was always hot and the gate never locked. But gates swing both ways, and one dawn, a lone rider came wearing a badge and a warrant older than the canyon itself. Dawn bled rose gold across Red Rock Canyon. The lone rider crested the ridge at a walk, horse-lathered, saddlebags heavy with more than bedroll. A tin star glinted on his vest, new, but the eyes behind it were old. Silas stepped from the lean-to, Henry rifle cradled easy. Ruth froze mid-stir over the cook fire, coffee forgotten. "Morning," the stranger said, voice flat as a judge's gavel. "Name's Deputy Marshal Boone. Got a federal warrant out of Austin. Clara Ruth Mayfield, wanted for arson and murder in Dry Wells, 1894. Ruth's spoon clattered into the flames. Silas didn't flinch. "She's been here 3 seasons. No fire but the one in that pot." Boone dismounted slow, paper rustling like dry leaves. "Witness says different. Harlan Voss burned alive in his own barn. Woman matching her description seen riding west." Ruth's whisper cut the air. "I never—" Silas raised a hand. "Reckon that witness got a name?" Boone's gaze flicked to the canyon walls. "Jake Tully. Swore it on his deathbed last week." Jake was supposed to be dead 2 years already, and graves don't lie, but dying men do. They rode back under a sky the color of old pewter. Ruth wore Silas's spare hat pulled low. Boone rode between them, wrists cuffed to his saddle horn for safekeeping. Drywell Cemetery sat on a knoll of cheatgrass and crosses. Jake's plot was fresh-turned, headboard carved crude. J. Tully, faithful till end. Silas knelt, brushed dirt from the marker. Jake couldn't write his own name, let alone swear an oath. Boone chewed his lip. Sheriff Holt signed the affidavit. Ruth's voice shook. Holt wasn't even there that night. A coyote yipped in the distance. Silas stood, eyes narrowing at boot prints circling the grave. Too many, too deliberate. Someone had been digging. He pried the lid of a pine box beside the mound. Empty. Jake Tully wasn't dead. He was bait, and the trap was already sprung. Dusk found them camped at Salt Creek Ford, moonlight silver on the water. Boone's cuffs lay open. Trust bought with shared jerky and the truth of an empty coffin. Ruth washed blood from her sleeve. Old stains, new fears. If Jake's alive, Voss put him up to it. Wants me back in chains. Silas checked the Henry's loads. Then we finish what the fire started. A twig snapped upstream. 3 silhouettes melted from the cottonwoods. Jake among them, face gaunt, eyes wild with laudanum and greed. Evening, Silas. Jake rasped. Boss says the girl's worth double now. Federal bounty's a bonus. Silas leveled the rifle. You burned your own bridge, Jake. Guns cleared leather. Ruth grabbed Boone's fallen Colt, fired first, high into the dark. The blast echoed like judgment. Horses bolted. Jake lunged. Silas met him with the rifle butt. Bone cracked. When the smoke cleared, Jake lay groaning, Voss's men scattered. Boone knelt, pressing a kerchief to a graze on his arm. Reckon I'll write a different report. Ruth stared at the creek, water running red at the edges. Some stains don't wash out. Silas touched her shoulder. Then we carry them together. But Voss himself was still out there, and sunrise would bring the final reckoning at the canyon's edge.